Welcome today. It is a Tuesday. We're looking at an event that actually took place over a period of a month, over a month. And it is a defining moment in the history of the children of Israel. It is a time of opportunity, a time in which they have the chance to show great faith in the Lord and to actually achieve what they've been hoping to make happen for some time. That they had called out to the Lord to make happen. And we'll look at that in Numbers chapter 13 as the 12 spies are sent into the land. We've got some questions. There's some things we're going to have to look at as we do this. Let me introduce myself. My name is Lee Moats. I am the preacher at the Dexter Church of Christ in Dexter, Michigan. We meet at 8700 Jackson Road, Dexter, Michigan, on Sunday mornings at 9:30 for a period of Bible study, and then 10:30 for our worship time. We do have a midweek Bible study on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. So if you are in our area, please come and visit with us as we study and worship and give glory to the Almighty for the things He has done for us. Numbers chapter 13. Let's look at what we find. There's a lot of interesting stuff here. I've got to talk fast. Numbers chapter 13, after the events of Aaron and Miriam, or I should say Miriam and Aaron, challenging Moses, actually challenging the wisdom of God, that Moses has the role that he has. We find in chapter 13 and verse 1, the Lord spoke to Moses saying, "Send men to spy out the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the people of Israel." And then we have the criteria that follows. And well, we'll just read another verse or two before we look at them. We're not going to look at the men today. We'll look at them on People, Place, and Things Friday. "From each tribe of their fathers you shall send a man, and every one a chief among them." So Moses sent them from the wilderness of Paran, according to the command of the Lord, all of them men who were heads of the people of Israel. And then these are their names. And we have a list of the names. So the Lord gives Moses instructions. What are the instructions? You send men, and you just don't pick random individuals. I am going to have you pick specific men, right? These are to be men who are respected, men who are recognized as leaders, as chiefs, as heads, and you are to send them into the land of Canaan and to spy it out for me. So Moses picked the men that the Lord had required. And we're told their names. And in verse 17, we read this: Moses sent them to spy out the land of Canaan. The New International Version that I have beside says to explore. Some translations say to scout the land of Canaan. And said to them, "Go up into the Negev and go up into the hill country and see what the land is, and whether the people who dwell in it are strong or weak, whether they are few or many, and whether the land that they dwell in is good or bad, and whether the cities that they dwell in are camps or strongholds, and whether the land is rich or poor, and whether there are trees in it or not. Be of good courage and bring some of the fruit of the land." Now the time was the season of the first ripe grapes. So they went up and spied out the land from the wilderness of Zin to Rehob near Lebo Hamath. They went up into the Negev and came to Hebron, Ahiman, Seshai, and Talmai. The descendants of Anak were there. Hebron was built 7 years before Zoan in Egypt. And they came to the valley of Eshcol and cut down from there a branch with a single cluster of grapes, and they carried it on a pole between two of them. They also brought some pomegranates and figs. That place was called the valley of Eshcol because of the cluster that the people of Israel cut down from there. Verse 25, at the end of 40 days, they returned from spying out the land. And they came to Moses and Aaron and all the congregation of the people of Israel in the wilderness of Paran at Kadesh. They brought back word to them and to all the congregation and showed them the fruit of the land. So Moses did send them out. Just as the Lord had required in verses 1 and 2, he sends them out, and we're told in verse 17. And he gave them instructions. Now, here's the question. Did Moses go beyond what the Lord required? Because the Lord says, go check out the land. Moses tells them, verse 17, go spy out the land, right? And even told them where to travel. From the Negev, which was in the southernmost part of the promised land, up into the hill countries. And while you go, see what the land's like. See what the people are like. See what the cities are like. The places where they live. Check it at those people. See if they're strong or weak people. Does the land produce? Right? And those places they live, what do they look like? And what do the people themselves look like? Are they thriving in the land, or are they barely surviving? And are there trees? So he gives them a list of things. Is the land rich or poor? Does it really produce, or does it look like just almost a barren wasteland? And he tells them, you be brave, you be of good courage, and bring back to us some of whatever it is you find that the land produces. Okay? And it even tells us that this was the season of the first ripe grapes. So Moses gives them these instructions somewhere, and it'll vary by a week or two, maybe a little more, somewhere June or July. So let's say somewhere around the 1st of July. It could have been 2 or 3 weeks earlier, 2 or 3 weeks later. But somewhere in the June and July area, that's when the first ripe grapes would put on. So the question is, did Moses require too much of them? Did he go beyond the instructions that the Lord wanted? Well, we've got to remember, they're supposed to go in and check this land out, right? Well, what do you want us to look for? What are we supposed to be looking at? Well, don't worry about any of that. Just go walk around and just see whatever. No, that's not what they needed. Remember over in Exodus chapter 3. Let's go back there for just a moment. Exodus chapter 3. when the Lord appeared to Moses at the burning bush, right? And I'm turning in my Bible here. Let's notice what the Lord said to Moses as he's talking to Moses. Chapter 3, there we go. Verse 8. We'll start in verse 7. Then the Lord said, Exodus chapter 3, verse 7 and 8. I have surely seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt, and have heard their cry because of their taskmasters. I know their sufferings, and I have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land to a good and broad land, a land flowing with milk and honey, to the place of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Okay. The Lord had said, I've heard what's going on, and I see it. I know what's taking place in Egypt. I've heard their cry. They're crying out, and I'm going to deliver them from that land and take them to a good land, a land flowing with milk and honey. A land with milk and honey. And that is a phrase that is going to be used repeatedly during the time, both before they come out. Look in Exodus chapter 6, I believe it is. Yeah. Exodus chapter 6 and start in verse 2. God spoke to Moses and said to him, I am the Lord. I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob as God Almighty. But by my name, the Lord, I did not make myself known to them. I also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land in which they lived as sojourners. Moreover, I have heard the groaning of the people of Israel from the Egyptians, whom the Egyptians hold as slaves, and I have remembered my covenant. Say therefore to the people of Israel, I am the Lord. I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I will deliver you from slavery to them, and I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and great acts of judgment. I will take you to be my people, and I will be your God, and you shall know that I am the Lord who brought you. I am the Lord your God who has brought you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. I will bring you into the land that I swore to give to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. I will give it to you for a possession. I am the Lord. Moses said this to the people of Israel, but they did not listen because of their broken spirit and harsh slavery. So they go and they talk about this land. Now they have left Egypt. They have been at Mount Sinai for a period of around a year. At least they've been out of Egypt for a year. It's time to move. It's time to go and to take the land, to inhabit the land that the Lord has promised to them. But how many of them have ever seen that land? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and some of Jacob's sons, or all of Jacob's sons, saw it. Some of his descendants most likely were their sons were born there. But how many of these people have seen it? Probably none. They have only heard stories. Maybe there's been a passerby on occasion, someone new that is a tradesman that comes in that they're able to exchange some information about. But what they've got is just strictly hearsay. Good morning. I thank you for watching. I appreciate you. And what they've got is just hearsay. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't mean it's right. But none of them that are living at this time have ever actually laid eyes or set foot in the land of Canaan. Hundreds of years have gone by. And what are we going to do? There's this land that the Lord has promised. What about it? Well, it's said to be a land flowing with milk and honey. Moses isn't going to just take them all up in there. They probably wouldn't have agreed at one time. Instead, the Lord says, I want you to send in spies. Did Moses did he go beyond what the Lord had said? When he gave them these stipulations or these requirements that they were to look for? And the answer is no. Because these men are to come back and they are to describe this land. And they are to describe it when they hear about it, it will cause the people, should cause the people to want to go to the land. To recognize that the Lord's He's been straight with us all along. And this land is everything He said it would be. It is just that good. So, did Moses go beyond? And my response is, I hear people that say, yes, he did. Moses should not have required them. Well, how else are they going to know what it's like? This isn't a stroll vacation. You get to a certain area, you find an oasis, and you just camp out there. And then come back sometime. No, this is, you go and you check this place out and you look at the people. You look at the land, right? You look at the people. You look at where the people live. Is the land supporting them or not? What does this look like? What kind of fruit do they have? Vegetation. And when it comes back to it, it truly was a land flowing with milk and honey. What was it they said? They said, it flows with milk and honey in chapter 13 and verse 27. The Lord had not exaggerated. They saw this. You say, but Moses shouldn't have had them check out the people. Well, they've heard about these people, haven't they? These people, they may have never seen them, although the Amalekites do live in the Negev, in the southernmost part. They've met some of them in battle already at Rephidim. But for the most part, they've only heard of these peoples. What they heard may have been blown out of proportion. It may have been an exaggeration, one way or the other. So, what are they really like? I hold that Moses was doing exactly what the Lord wanted him to do. He was giving them the instructions that the Lord wanted these people to have, the things they needed to check out. And those are the same types of things people look at today when they get ready to move from one location to another, especially a location they've never seen or heard. They want to know about these types of things. And there's another more telling, to me, more telling bit of evidence that says that Moses did what the Lord required. He did not go beyond. He did not do something the Lord was displeased with. Because the Lord, let's be honest now, there are times when Moses had does things, and the Lord's not pleased with them at all. And he lets that known. He lets that be known. Say, yeah, but in chapter 12, Moses has got a big head after the events of chapter 12. Miriam and Aaron are put in their place, and now Moses thinks he can do whatever. Remember, Moses is humble. And yes, it's a possibility. Human nature led Moses would have caused him to think, hey, I can do whatever I want to now. I can make up the rules now. Or because of what the Lord has said, it would lead Moses to be even more likely to do exactly what the Lord required. So, you pick which side of that fence you're on. Okay? I tend to think Moses was doing what the Lord said, and the reason being ultimately is in chapter 14. We're not going to look at it today, but I do want you to understand this. The Lord is angry, but he is not angry at Moses. The Lord determines to wipe the people out. Right? He determines to wipe them out. He's of the mindset to do that. And it is Moses that intercedes. If it was Moses' fault that the people saw things that they shouldn't have seen, this would have been the ideal time for the Lord to have brought that out and just tell him, it's your fault, Moses. You took on more and you required more than I wanted. And it's your fault these people are this way. But that's not what happens. Instead, we find the Lord is angry at the people. They saw the goodness of the land. They saw everything. It was exactly, and the land was exactly as it had been described or they had hoped for. It was that and more, really. And the peoples, they get a straightforward, honest people, honest requirement of the people. And it is, verse 28, the people who dwell in the land are strong. The cities are fortified and very large. And we saw the descendants of Anak. We saw the descendants of the giants in the land. And that's how it's often translated as giants. And the Amalekites dwell in the land of Negev. And sure enough, the Hittites, the Jebusites, the Amorites dwell in the hill country. We saw where they dwell. The Canaanites dwell by the sea, which we call the Mediterranean, or they would have called the Great Western Sea or something like that, and along the Jordan. So Canaanites dwell near the bodies of water. Others dwelt in the hill country. There were others that dwelt in the Negev, in the southern part. So they come back telling exactly what it is so the people know what to expect. That was the whole purpose of sending them in there, so that they'd get a report, that they would find out exactly what's going on. These people are thriving in this land. That's the land you want. If the people were all weakly or sick and things weren't going well for them, who would want to move to a place like that? Not many people volunteer to go to a place that the people that are already there can barely survive, and to make it their home. And so Moses did what the Lord wanted. They checked this land out. They checked out the fruit of the land. They checked out the people and the cities. And they came back and they described it exactly as it was. Now, what time of year was this? I said that the time of first grapes, or the first ripe grapes, are somewhere in June or July. That's about the time when they would put on. So let's just say July. Okay? Could be a few weeks earlier, could be a few weeks later. They traveled this land for 40 days. They're in there for over a month. So sometime in August, maybe September, before they come back. But they bring a cluster of grapes, one cluster of grapes that is so heavy, so large, that they had to drape it over a pole, and 2 men had to carry it. They brought back pomegranates and figs. And so it was a land and an area that actually produced well. It truly was flowing with milk and honey. Some of it was wild, where bees would have thrived more and there would have been more hives. Some of it would have been wonderful pasture land, but it was a land in which it sustained, well sustained the inhabitants. That's what Moses told them to find out. That's why the Lord sent them in there. He didn't just say, hey, I think 12 guys, there's 12 guys that probably just need to take a break. Go have them do a walkabout. No. They're going in there for a reason. And the reason is to see just what the Lord has promised. And they come back telling you that it's what the Lord promised. Okay? All 12 spies agree. And when this report is given about this to Moses, given to Moses, it's given to Aaron, it's given to the whole congregation. Everyone needs and wants to hear this. And they want to hear it from the mouth of the men that have been there. The leaders of the people. No doubt they have seen the fruit that is brought back. And they're wondering, where did they get that? We've never seen it. We've never seen fruit in that kind of abundance before. They want to hear the report. And there's a buzz that takes place throughout the crowd when they see and they hear the report. Now, is the report good or bad? At this point in time, it is mainly just a report. They are just telling what they have found. Verse 30 tells us that Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once and occupy it, for we are well able to overcome it. So here's Caleb. And he says, it's everything we wanted. We can do this. Let's go. Verse 31 tells us, then the men who had gone up with him said, oh, we are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we are. So they brought to the people of Israel a bad report of the land that they had spied out, saying, the land through which we have gone to spy it out is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people that we saw in it are of great height. Wait a minute. The land devours its inhabitants. And yet in verse 28, they said the people who dwell in the land are strong. Now they're saying, oh, we can't do it. The people here are weakling. The land just devastates them. Well, which is it? It's got to be one or the other, right? And so they gave the report, but their recommendation is, oh, it's the land tears them up. They just barely make it. But they're extremely strong, and they're extremely tall. And verse 33 says, and we saw the Nephilim, the sons of Anak, who come from the Nephilim, and we seemed to ourselves like grasshoppers. And so we seemed to them. Makes you think that they had come in contact with inhabitants of the land, at least some of them. And they go, when we looked at them, we were nothing. Oh, we seem so small and insignificant. That's the way we saw ourselves, and that's how they saw us. Well, apparently they weren't harmed. The 12 that went all came back. They all came back strong enough to bring back They didn't come back fleeing for their lives. They came back carrying fruit. They came back in full health. And so their report or their recommendation, this part of it, does not match up with what they have said. Okay? It just doesn't fit. It's inconsistent. Oh yeah, there's giants. There are the descendants of Anak there, sons of the Nephilim. It's a strong land. There's fortified cities. Oh yeah, but the land just eats everything up. The people can't survive there. We're going to stop there. We're at chapter 13. And there's a lot more to talk about in there because of the report and the recommendations, mainly the recommendations that are given. But this is a period of over 40 days. Spies are sent into the land. They check it out. They're there for 40 days and they come back. Caleb says we can take it. It's wonderful. It's ours for the taking. And others say, oh, no, might as well forget it. No, can do. It just eats up its inhabitants. It devours them. We don't want to go there. Plus there's those strong people there, the giants. See, even their recommendation as they're leaning to this is inconsistent. We will talk about these 12 men. That's my plan on People, Place, and Things Friday, that go into it and see what we can learn about them and some of the things by which they are called. We have to be able to make a distinction at times. Until we do that, read chapter 13 again. If we can, we will look more closely in chapter 14 on our next Tuesday together, should we be so blessed, and see what we can learn about them, and maybe some things we can learn about our own mindsets, how we should regard the wonders that the Lord puts before us. Until we get to meet again, may you have a blessed day.